Well, good afternoon. It's Longhaultanker, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and today is Wednesday, the 15th of July, 2024, and it's approximately 12:20 p.m. I'm going to do a little honing video. It's a little bit outside of what I often do, except I do all my own honing, and I have all the gear and the stones and so forth. I just don't usually put it on video, but I did want to reply to Devin Jackson's question about honing with my different Arkansas stones that I have. And I want to show you. I thought I had this set up the way I wanted it, but Devin Jackson recently received and did a show and tell on his new Arkansas Norton translucent, which I'm holding my version of that in my hand right here. And let me show you the end there. It's I did see that the stock number, the item number, HTB83, I believe that says, if I read it backward correctly. Norton hard translucent, Arkansas bench stone. What's that other part? With mini sharpening station. That's the plastic box that it comes into. You've got the rubber feet on the bottom. It's got the little corner pieces that you might see that fit the stone, and so you can set the stone on top of the box and use the box. Now what I do, because it's just a little loose in there, sounds like horses galloping away. I set the stone in there, and notice my thumb, I press on the side to give it a little more stationary, solid feel while sitting in the station. So that, let me just point out here too, I typically use this side that has the red spot at the top. The rest of this is just perfect. And not that that's not perfect. It doesn't feel like it adds any anomaly to the surface of the stone. But I use this side less because it has this little spot in it. And again, it doesn't feel like that it presents any sort of anomaly. It's just as smooth as the rest of the stone there. But I want to show you something else. Let's start with the good, what I call the good side. Let's see if it shows up. Yes, right there. You see this line right here? See that line right there? I don't know what that is. It doesn't feel like a scratch mark. Let's see if I can bring that back up. Let's see if I can bring that. Oh, well, there it is. You got to tilt it up a little bit, get the light to reflect on it. Doesn't feel like a scratch mark, so I'm going to say it's some kind of vein line or occlusion line. I don't know if the Arkansas behave in a similar fashion as cauticles, where they have inclusions running through them on the less than select grade. And it also runs, you'll see it right here on the opposite side. So that means something. I don't know what it means, but it means something. So that's the Arkansas. I want to say, let me save that. Now, we're going next to Dan's hard black, also known as surgical black. And it's got a little bit of color variation. You see some color here, a little lighter color here. And you see these scratch marks here. I got a little foolish, but it's still smooth. I say foolish, and you'll see. I took my DMT credit card size rubbing abrasive card, and the three comes in a pack: a coarse, a medium, and a fine. And I ran the course over this because I wanted to see if what some others were saying, that if you just roughen the surface up a little bit, that you can feel more feedback and might be a little faster, blah, blah, blah. I did do that. Did I notice any difference? No. Which kind of leads to how I typically deal with an Arkansas stone when I get one. I've got three, and here's the true hard, 8x3x1. The others, of course, are 8x3x1/2. And this is just I love all three of these stones, and I have said repeatedly and repeatedly. Again, this is anecdotal. This is in reference to what I've got. But they behave the same. They give the same kind of edge. There's not a whit's bit of difference between the three stones in the type of shaving edge that they give to the razor. And it feels exactly the same, in my opinion. But I don't claim to be a expert at honing, other than for 10 years, I've honed all my own razors and they all work just fine. And you see the shaving videos and the outcomes from my honing efforts on my own razors. And what better evidence is there than that? I don't know. I've got the microscope, I've got the eye loop, and I do check for things as I'm going along. But the number one thing that I look for using a microscope, using a loop, is the scratch pattern, the striation pattern. You go from a 4K to an 8K, you're working on the 8K, you look under the microscope, you look under the loop, you're looking to see that the 4K striations have been sufficiently removed, entirely removed, and all you have left is an 8K pattern of striation left upon your bevel. And then you move up through the progression, your progression, my progression. As you move up, you're looking for the eradication, the removal of the previous stone striations to the new stones striations, and that's how you know when you move on to the next stone. That's why I use. But a lot of that, as I have over the years, honing my razors on my stones. Again, I don't claim to be an expert. I get the feel. You get it, whether it's an Arkansas stone, a conical stone, the Shapton glass stones, the Zulu gray stone. It's the feel and the undercut on each stone. And that's an indicator that those striations are being removed and you're achieving a shave-ready edge and a polished bevel. So anyway, but I want to say another word here too. When I received these in the mail, 2 from Dan's, 1 from a third-party supplier on eBay for the Norton stone. When you rub your hand over a new, untouched, these three, and I know it's true for most Dan's Arkansas whetstones, is that when you rub your hand over it, it's flat. Now, the flattening process, the lapping process that Dan puts their stones through, I've been there, I've seen their machines, I've seen how they do it. They're flat, absolutely perfect, near perfect, mil spec flat. That's a term that means something. Don't ask me why. But me, if I were to take a caliper or a measuring tool and a microscope and measure that thing out, I would probably find, not me, because I don't know how to do none of it, but it would be from corner to corner, from corner to corner, through the middle, flat. Now, then you receive it in the mail, you rub your hand over it, and there is a texture. Now, that doesn't affect flatness, it's just a texture on the face of the stone. It might feel like little granules on top. Now, what I do is I go out to the garage, I grab my chisels, 1 inch, inch and a half, 2-inch chisel, and I commence working on the face of the stone to knock those little granular tops that I'm feeling off. What I'm looking for is smooth, and what you will likely end up with, if you're using a chisel, back and forth, no oil, or maybe oil, who cares? But I usually don't use oil when I'm doing that, because what I'm looking for, as you're knocking those little tops off, those little granular tops off, is I'm looking for a chalky finish. The Arkansas stone, all three of these did it. And as you take that chisel and work knock off those little granular tops, it'll leave a chalk-like finish. I say finish, residue on the stone, and you'll see it on your hands and whatever. And so and then you wash it off and maybe dry it off, and you just get this beautifully smooth finish on the stone. It's smooth. Now you look at that, you can see a little bit of light reflection there, so there is some burnishing maybe that's going on there, but it's just smooth. Now, I don't care. People talk about being over burnished, over polished. I don't care. I think, let's take a look here. You'll see some burnishing. You'll see some polish, reflection. Even through the scratches, you can see the polish and the reflection. You can see the reflection, but it's hard to see the polish. But there's some there, and I'm not hypercritical. No, wrong word. You want to use super polish, that's fine. I've seen people who have taken them to a buffing wheel and buffed them out. When I was over at a certain forum website years ago, and I was getting into the Arkansas and trying to learn, and they were, one guy had one that was green striped, it looked like a candy cane, and it was polished up, and it was beautiful. Well, okay, eye candy. It really was beautiful. How good it worked, I don't know, because I never had it in my hand. All right, so that said, the question that I'm addressing primarily for my experience in these three stones is, as I hone on these three stones, is there any difference to the feel and the feedback from the stone to the razor to my hand in honing on these three stones? And my general answer to that, as we progress, you'll see my general answer to that is no. They feel exactly the same. And of course, all three of them have been finished in very similar manners as with the chisel. And the only difference is here recently, about 6 months ago, I did the DMT little credit card lapping plate and put those medium scratch marks pattern. You can't even feel them with your hand. Those scratch marks, cannot even feel them. So largely they've had almost no effect on the stone. I'll eventually work those out or not. And I still got a good side over here. All right. So with that said, those are the stones that I'm going to be demonstrating. And I've got 4, count them, 4 union razors at my side over here, along with my cup of Tim Horton dark roast. And I'm not going to go a long time on these because these razors are already, all 4 of these stones are already honed up on one of these 3 Arkansas stones. The 2 black ones that I held up are honed on the Dan's hard black, surgical black Arkansas. And the 2 white ones, and I don't have them marked, so I don't know which, so I don't really care right now. I mean, even if I get the wrong one and use it on the different stone. The 2 white ones, one of them is on the translucent and the other one is on the true hard. And even with the 2 razors that I got about 2 to 3 months ago that came from Japan. One was the Fritz Brock tennis razor, the first one, and the Dovo Bergischer Low vintage style were honed up on the Norton translucent and the Dan's true hard. And I've shaved with them, and I've shaved with them on camera, and they were wonderful shaves. And if I remember correctly, the Fritz Brock was on the translucent and the Dovo Bergischer Low vintage version was on the true hard. But we're going to just play here a little bit, and you'll see how I hone on them, and hopefully there'll be some demonstration on feedback and their ease of use. So I'm going to set that there. Now, my general custom when honing with a natural stone, and particularly with these Arkansas stones, I'm usually sitting in front of a TV and I'm just watching a show. I'll put a show on and I'll just hone back and forth. Sometimes like this, sometimes like that, sometimes an X stroke, sometimes just a up and back. But I'm watching, making sure I'm getting good contact on the stone, and watching, because, the thing about Arkansas stones is that generally speaking, they are slow stones, and you've got to give them time. And I'm putting that's just baby oil. That is Walmart brand baby oil. And of course it smells like baby oil. And all baby oil is mineral oil with a little bit of perfume thrown in on it. And It's about as cheap. I don't know what Ballistol that formula costs. It don't matter because it's not as cheap as a 16-ounce bottle of Walmart baby oil, and it works just fine. And I've been using it for years and years. I've gone through 3 over the years. I've gone through, as I recall, 3 of those 16-ounce baby oil from Walmart. All right, so I was going to say something else too, and it slipped. Anyway, let's just give it a go. Let's keep this more handy. And so I'm using a white-handled Union razor, shoulderless, honed up on either the translucent or the true hard previously. And this is a wonderful razor. I could face shave with it if I wanted to, but all of my gold dollars and Union razors here, within the last 2 or 3 months, I've largely retired. This is you buy this in the truck stop for about $12. So I'm holding, and already it's picking up the oil and undercutting, and it's just as smooth. Now, something I've been doing of late, when I get down to what I believe are the finishing stages, or the final strokes, is that I'll put 3 or 4 or so drops of Dawn dishwashing liquid on there, and I will run water into my, of course, when I'm at the sink, I'm holding this, dropping the oil or dishwashing liquid on it, and I'll run a little bit of water into my right hand, and just let it drip off onto the stone. So I've got oil, Dawn dishwashing liquid, and now some water, and I'll mix it in with my fingers to work up I don't go paste like that. I want it to be a liquid. But not quite so runny as it would run off the stone. And so then I would. So I've got all 3 substances: oil, water, and Dawn dishwashing liquid. And as the soap is being worked in, and all 3 ingredients are being mixed in together, the surface of the stone becomes cleaner, because that's what Dawn does. It dispels oil, grease for washing out frying pans and cooking utensils. That's what Dawn does, and so it's kind of a pre-wash, a sort of step to when you get finished. And run it under hot water, the stone, it'll largely clean up for you. And you just, if you need a little more Dawn to wash it off and clean it off, that takes all of 2 minutes. And then the stone is clean. And you set it to the side and let it dry. And it'll be dry and done in less than 5 minutes. You can put it away. That's what I do. So you see what I'm doing here. And the X strokes. And it's just a nice, with oil. Now, I've experienced, and I've heard others say, that when you use oil and Dawn dishwashing liquid on an Arkansas stone, that it does get, as you're getting right down to the very end, it does get a bit grabby, like a caudicle. And those that use such a technique will say, like Dr. Matt does with the caudicle, that that's how you know the stone's giving you all that it's got to give. Now, and that's fine. Everybody's, can work things for themselves to determine if it's producing results. And that's really all that matters, is does your method and technique produce a finished, shave-ready razor that you can go to the bathroom with and shave. And so, but this, as to the feedback on this Norton, is just as smooth, and I hate to say glass-like, but it's just as smooth as you would expect an Arkansas to be. Now, one of the things I've always argued for, or in defense of, it was Steve Hirschman at Dan's Whetstones. He's the son of Dan Kirschman, and if I remember correctly, he's effectively in operational. Him and his brother. The other brother, I don't remember his name, is kind of the businessman behind the scenes, and Steve is the one out in the shop running things, and he knows everything, or at least he's the one that I talked to, and he was extremely informative, and he's the one that told me two things, and I'll probably think of one or two more after. But a couple of things he told me is that there's one, because they, on their chart on the website, the three categories of stones, the translucent, the true hard, and the hard black or surgical black, must meet a specific gravity of 2.5 or greater, but nobody measures for the greater. And there's some kind of float test. I think I've seen a video on it, but, whoop-de-doo and yippee-yahoo. Nobody sells Arkansas stones, finishing stones. This has got a 3.5 specific gravity. This one has a 4.0 specific gravity. Those are anecdotal results from individual tests that have nothing to do with the commercial market. Now, let me say this. And so the other thing was, so there's no essential or effective difference between the translucent, the true hard, and the surgical black. Okay, and that's going to be a controversial statement, and so what, and who cares, and have fun arguing. The other thing is that their descriptions on their website, Dan's, of with regard to true hard and translucent and surgical black, true hard black, of fine, extra fine, and ultra fine are marketing terms and have no real application to the product at hand. This one, you can say that there's no effective difference because they're all 2.5 or greater, and nobody measures for the or greater. And so they are effectively the same stone. All three categories, logically, and in my practical experience, they're all three effectively the same stone. And that's why, how do they feel? What's the feedback off of each of these? It's the same. It's the same. Now here's the difference. I'm going to stop with that because where am I going with it? it's already sharp. It's already sharp on an Arkansas stone. And I was undercutting just fine. So I will set this one aside, razor, and I will pick up this other white-handled Union razor, set it there in the middle. I'm going to set the Norton off over here to the side. I'm going to get me another sip of coffee. I'm sitting at my dining table in our, we have a large open area. You got the kitchen right there. You got the dining area right here. You got the living room right in front of me with no obstruction, no walls. It's open concept, you might say. And I got Charlie Kirk on Real America's Voice television, watching the proceedings of the Republican National Convention as it gets ready to kick off today. And so now I don't even know that I need to do anything on the hard black, because the two categories of stones that everybody wants to get, translucent or the hard black. And as I've already said, there's no effective difference between the three different categories altogether. The one that is the curiosity or the puzzle or the mystery, and, you know, this stone, 8x3x1, costs less than generally speaking, costs less than the surgical black or a translucent. You go look at a 8x3x1 translucent on Dan's whetstones. I think it's pushing close to $450 to $500 today, but not the true hard. This one sells at a discount. And so that's why I bought this. I wanted to see. Steve Kirschman had already told me that there's not a whit's worth of difference between the three categories. I wanted to try the true hard to test that proposition. Is it true? And my experience has been, since I've had this, and I've had this now for approximately 6 years. We were still in the townhouse. No, I was here because that's right. But it wasn't too long after we moved into this house 5.5 years ago that I got this. So let's just say 4.5 to 5.5 years that I've had the true hard. That's right, because I remember getting the chisels out and working over there on the kitchen counter. All right, so I'm putting the oil on the surface of the true hard. And I love this pattern. You see that swooping pattern? It's just like a whoo. And that just, you follow that pattern, it makes for a perfect X stroke. And you could do the same on the backside, except this way. You just kind of go woo. Okay, fine. Leave it to me to find the silly stuff. All right, so I'm using the other white Union razor, going to the true hard. And if you've ever honed on an Arkansas stone before, you'll know whether it's a hard black or a translucent, it has that almost glassy-like feel because they're so smooth and so dense and they're virtually impermeable, that it's just amazing. And something I learned from Keith Johnson. Of course, Keith Johnson has some of the best videos on Arkansas stones, in my opinion. I don't know anybody else that's got as many as he does. But I learned, for example, just like, or in contrast to a caudicle is auto slurrying. And that's why you finish under running water, is that you want that auto slurry to wash off. Arkansas stones do not slurry. And the crystalline structure of the novaculite, which is a silica-based crystalline structure. Boy, that was a mouthful, wasn't it? And here's the new word that many of you may not know, that I learned from Keith Johnson, is that an Arkansas stone is not friable. Friable. And I believe I said that right. And I don't know how it's spelled. I think it's FreyablE or whatever. You get the idea. Look it up. And what it essentially means is that it does not break off particles. You can hone all day long on an Arkansas novaculite stone, and it's not going to feel one bit different. You're not going to see a slurry raise up because it is not friable. It doesn't break off particles like a caudicle. And I can't speak to any, certainly not, well, I can't say that about the Zulu Gray, because you can use a rubbing stone or a DMT credit card plate and work up a slurry. The Arkansas stone is so, in my imagination, creatively thinking, using my intelligence, that the Arkansas stone could be, some of you guys tell me, Eric, tell me, Martin, tell me, the Arkansas stone could be used as a base for Japanese naguras and working up a slurry from the naguras on the hard surface of the Arkansas stone. And so you bought a $250, $300 stone instead of a $1,000 stone, Japanese natural. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. But this feedback from the true hard, let me turn a little bit, see if you can see the undercut pattern on the face of the stone. No, probably not. In order to get my mount, I have a table mount with a very heavy bottom so it stays stationary and upright. If I bend the holder down a little bit, the camera will fall out of the holder. If I try to flatten it down, and there's like 3 or 4 different joint positions on the back where you can bend this one this way and that one that way, and but this is about as good of a position as I could have gotten to make this video. But I'm getting good undercut on the oil. It's just as smooth as glass. And because I think the real secret of these stones is in how you prep the surface. Whether you prep it with a rough finish or a medium finish or a fine. Now, one thing you can do also is use wet, dry sandpaper as you're preparing and finishing these stones, getting them ready for use. And I did that to all 3 of these, and I took them out to about the 2000 grit sandpaper. Did that right there on the corner of the island. It's granite. And I could spread my stuff out, and I put the I put the wet dry sandpaper right onto the granite and wet it and started rubbing it right on the granite. Well, over the granite. And I wasn't worried about diminishing the polish on the granite. I don't know how they finish granite, the compounds they use, the buffing that they do, but it seems to me though that I got a little worried about that, and I put something underneath, maybe like a cookie sheet, maybe under the sandpaper. But this feedback and feel is no different than the translucent that I was using before. And it's just giving me a good pattern. I could do X strokes. And in my opinion, now I try. Now, right there is the weight of the blade only. And so right down I go, and right back I come, weight of the blade only. But again, I'm not a machine guy. I'm not a tool guy. Even though I'm a truck driver, I'm not a mechanic, and I don't want to be one. And so that's about as light as I can go. But I'm of the opinion that you can use a bit more pressure on the stone to ensure that you've got good solid contact between the razor and the stone. Good solid contact. Not so hard that it's the apex is bowing up. No, you don't want to do that. But you can check that too, I suppose, by the undercut, I suppose. So I'm going to stop there on the True Hard. I just don't see the necessity to have to go on. It's sharp. It was sharp. There's not anything I did that would have made it less sharp. And I hope it was illustrative of, and it provided some. Okay. See you later, honey. Love ya. She's going out to run a couple of errands. Oh, I didn't tell you about my load that I was supposed to leave on this morning. And so I got up, about 7 o'clock. It was supposed to load at 0630. The preload driver was supposed to go down. I called at about I called at about 8:30. And as I usually do before I leave the house on the morning of when the load is being loaded, I want to know what the trucks, the loading truck and trailer, I want to know what their current position is. I want to know if they're in the process of actually being loaded, meeting their load time. And the company that's loading them, the plant that's loading them, is actually loading them at the load time. Where is it? What's it doing? And when's it going to be back? That's what I want to know. What's the ETA back to the yard? And so the dispatch on duty, he says, oh, that load was canceled. Well, thanks for telling me. I only got up early because because I thought I was going to work. And this load was destined for Missoula, Montana. And of course, I come to find out this morning also that today, of course, today's Monday, and they'd already stuck me on the Missoula load. Today, there are 3 Portage, Wisconsin loads getting loaded today, but they've all been assigned out to somebody else. And I said, well, isn't that just lovely? I've done 12 in a row. Anyway. And so about 30 minutes later, now that was the dispatch guy, the dispatcher. About 30 minutes later, I called the dispatch manager. And she said, and she's real nice and has helped me a lot. And she says, when the dispatcher had told me that the load, Montana load had been rescheduled for Wednesday morning load time. So I called her, and yes, the load was canceled this morning, but it has not been rescheduled for a load time. Oh, that's just great. So some of these guys will just lie to you right out to get you off their phone. And you're thinking one thing, he's told you something else, and you have to just kind of go with the flow. Which, I want facts. Tell me the absolute, so I can make my decisions. Anyway, I said to her, look, if there's a Portage, Wisconsin load being loaded on Friday, with all of this storm and all of this irregularity and chaos that's been going on, there may very well be a regularly scheduled Friday load going out for Monday delivery next week. As of yet, not yet. And so I'm supposed to call back in Wednesday morning. And I was talking to my wife about this, and it dawned on me. I said, wait a minute. If it's being loaded Wednesday morning, why am I calling in on Wednesday morning if it is being loaded on Wednesday morning, I need to be down there in the truck, in place, ready to go when he gets back to the yard. And this last minute stuff of jerking you around doesn't work with me. No, give it to somebody else. No, I ain't going. No, you got to, like if they wanted to give me one of those Portage loads that was loading today, nope. I don't want to get caught up in their chaos because of some hurricane. And their minds are all exploding down there. And I had one of the senior maintenance managers tell me that he's about fed up with the chaos that's going on down there. And so I'm going to stand back. Get your chaos over with, get back into routine, let me know when you're ready. I don't want to participate in their chaos. So nonetheless, I'm still assigned to the Montana load, and we will wait and see what happens for the rest of the week. I knew it was going to be some time. Okay, so I am not going to use the scratched up side, though I could. You know what? Let's go ahead and use the scratch up side. So you saw me honing on the translucent. You saw me honing on the true hard. In my opinion, there was no discernible difference in honing on either one. And I dare say that will be equally true on the hard black as well. And so they're just hard. They are so hard. In fact, I told somebody here recently, do not use your lapping plate on an Arkansas stone to lap it for whatever your reason, it don't matter, to lap it flat, to do not use your lapping unless you know that an Arkansas stone will destroy a lapping plate. Maybe not the little diamond chips that are encrusted on the substrate, but it'll destroy the substrate. So don't use, I'm going to use a black razor here because I know all my black ones are honed up on this stone. Well, there's old Jack Prosobic. I hope you all know who Jack Prosobic is on Real America's Voice television. He is an outstanding newscaster, former Navy intelligence, and he don't pull no punches. He is about as strong on his Christian faith and promoting it on the airwaves of Real America's Voice as I am on my shaving videos. There is no venue. There is no off limits to promoting the Christian faith and exposing the satanic in the process. All right, you know what I'm going to do right here? I'm going to move the Norton stone right there. I'm going to grab the box and use it for the dance. Now, I've never been I am not nearly as I'm 10,000 miles away from somebody like Dr. Matt and his scientific evaluation of stones and microscopes, and so much of what I do is just by feel and undercut, watching the undercut. You know, I know at least enough to use a microscope or a jeweler's loupe. But so much of what I do is just by feel and naked eye, with my glasses, naked eye observation. And I cannot tell, and I may not have gone very far using the medium DMT plate, credit card size plate. And I suppose if I were to be serious about resurfacing and texturing an Arkansas stone a little coarser, I would probably pull out the wet, dry sandpaper and take it down to, I don't know, 500, 400. But it's a finishing stone. It's not a bevel setter. So why would I do that? I don't. Nor is it a mid-range. And I don't know why one would want to take it to a mid-range finish to work on, the 4K, 2K, 4K, 5K, 6K level of stone. But it feels just like the others. And I had one guy tell me, one of my early advisors from the far distant past, the guy that lives up in Idaho, who advised me early on, he said, it's just steel on stone. You're just dragging steel on stone. That's all you're doing. And so I've taken a very simplistic, maybe even naive view toward honing. But I'm not, like I said, I'm not near as scientific as somebody like a Dr. Matt. And Devin, I'm largely doing this video in answer to your question. I'm certainly not near as methodical as you are. And that's no criticism, it's just a polite observation. And I think Devin does a good job. I've learned some things from Devin. I've watched his shaving videos. But he'll be the first to tell you from time to time that, no, this didn't make the grade. I got to go back and do it again. But we're all like that, aren't we? I've done that, these last two razors, the Fritz Brock tennis razor, the second one, and the Javoso, they've each had 3 and 4 honing sessions on their designated stone. The Fritz Brock was on the conical, the 4x2 travel stone that I have. And the Javoso on the Zulu Gray. And I am now completely and thoroughly satisfied with the finishes and shaves. That's why when you want, I'm thoroughly satisfied with the shaves that they are rendering. Now, that's why so many people say, and I'm one of them, that the shave is the real test. That's why I don't do a lot of honing videos, is because I can tell you what stone I've used. All you're going to do is watch me take my razor and go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, when I could be talking to my wife, or I could be watching television or a movie, and it's boring as hell. No offense, fellas, watching a honing video, except for a rookie. When I first started in this, I watched all the honing videos, Lynn Abrams, GS6 gun, Dr. Matt, when he was still known as Dr. Matt 357 instead of 1911 now. But I also made it a point to watch the very best of the masters, what I regarded. They were the most well-known. They had name recognition. And I realize the mantle gets passed, the torch gets passed from time to time. We get a new breed of honers that come to the forefront. That's fine. But for me, I'm very satisfied with my honing skills. I'm very satisfied with my stones. It's the shave that tickles me down to my toenails. And the honing is fun. I enjoy the honing. I don't like the drive-by gangstas that'll criticize you for every little mismove, or, oh, that technique is terrible. You need to do this. You need to. That's why I'm not on the forums anymore, along with other reasons. Like the promotion of the Rainbow Mafia. Just not going to do it. I don't care about what color your shorts are. And the fact that you want to tell me tells me something about you that I don't want to know. Well, I pretty well come to the end of what I'm trying to illustrate. All three of them behaved, feedback, and feel virtually identical. Not a whit's worth of difference between any of them. And let's see if I got enough hair. Oh, by the way, I am wearing a genuine 100% virgin wool shirt, not a shirt jacket. It's not lined. It's a genuine shirt from Pendleton Woolen Mills in Pendleton, Oregon. It is one of the few, if not only, woolen mills in the country that still produces apparel rather than just raw product for others. I don't know of any other American-made shirt of 100% virgin wool made in the United States. I have 10 of these now, and I absolutely love them. That oftentimes I'll wear them with some sort of under shirt on it, but I can wear them without the wool, genuine wool. It is not as irritating to me as it might be to some people. But nonetheless, I will often wear something under it so as to keep the wool off my skin directly. Now, it's awfully warm out today, but sometimes even with the house at 72, 74 degrees inside, I get a chill. And I tell my wife, I'm going to put a shirt on. I also have one of their large, thick, heavy-duty woolen blankets that is well over 6 feet, because I'm 6 feet 2. And it's well over 6'2", and I can keep my feet covered and bring it right up around my neck. And that makes me happy. Especially when I'm laying out on the sofa watching television with my wife. She has her blanket, I got my blanket. She doesn't like the wool. All right, let's see how much hair, because I've been using my hair a little bit. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Just look at that. From heel to toe, baby, from heel to toe. But I had no other expectation than that it would pop hairs, because this was already honed up in acceptable fashion, and had been using these union razors as head shavers. And so, yeah, that no complaints here on that job. Now, I've been going for an hour and 3 minutes. I told my wife I was going to go for about 45 minutes. She said, how long can you go? I said, well, maybe. So she's run off to go do her errands, and I'll be done when she gets back. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all might have. Be courteous and respectful, or I'll blast you, one of the two. If you're respectful to me, I'll be respectful to you. Because honing, is one of the most fraught with emotion endeavors. You go onto the websites, the forums, and they will blast you with a double barrel, double-aught buckshot right between the eyes. And so I'm not into that. So I don't do the shaving, honing videos. The best test of your honing is the shave. It either works or it doesn't work. Thank you for watching. See you guys down the road.